The billionaire is astonished when a homeless boy unveils a secret in his coffee. Nathan Caldwell stepped into the bustling cafe, the familiar jingle of the bell announcing his arrival. The aroma of freshly ground coffee beans wafted through the air, enveloping him like a warm hug. He knew exactly what he wanted, a triple-shot, extra-foam oat milk latte, just the way he liked it. As the barista, who knew him well, prepared his drink, he glanced around, soaking in the energy of the city. People animatedly chatted, the clatter of cups harmonizing with laughter. Everything felt perfect. But then, amidst the ordinary, a scruffy figure caught his eye. A thin, ragged boy, maybe 10 or 11, approached him. His clothes were tattered, and dirt streaked his cheeks. A patchy cap hung askew on his head. "Sir," the boy exclaimed, voice trembling, "I have something you need to see." Nathan's brow furrowed. He had seen countless faces in these streets, yet something about this boy felt different. The cafe buzzed around them, but in that moment, it was just the two of them, like a scene pulled from a movie. "Kid, I'm really busy," Nathan dismissed with a wave. But as the boy stepped closer, something in his eyes, a deep lament, hunger for understanding, gripped Nathan's heart. "I can give you information about your dad," Leo stammered, his voice low. Nathan's heart skipped. His father had been a titan, a self-made hero in the city, the man who built an empire from scratch. Could this boy truly hold a key to his father's past? The boy fumbled as he dug into his worn-out backpack, pulling out a crumpled photograph. "Look," Leo insisted, holding it out with trembling fingers. The image was weathered, the edges were tattered. Nathan squinted. In the photo, his father stood beside a grave under a canopy of wilting flowers, a mysterious woman grinning by his side. Neither of their expressions looked happy. The gravestone was barely visible, its details lost in shadows. Nathan's chest tightened. "What is this?" he whispered, suddenly feeling an icy weight settle in his gut. The boy's lips curled into a sly smile. "You don't remember her, do you? She isn't just anyone. You need to know." Around them, the cafe buzzed on, oblivious to the world crumbling for Nathan. His mind raced. Betrayal? Deception? The boy's presence unsettled him more than he wanted to admit. It felt like his entire life had just been shaken loose. "Listen," Nathan began, urgency lacing his tone. "Where did you get this?" But the boy slipped the photograph back into his cup, looking suddenly furtive. "I can help you, but it'll cost you." The words hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. Everything Nathan had built seemed to tremble on that brink. Was the boy playing him? Or did he truly hold the pieces to a family mystery? Nathan felt the eyes of other cafe patrons scrutinizing them, whispers erupting. He could sense their judgment, a collective gasp at the sight of a billionaire standing before a homeless kid. What would they say if they knew? The stakes were rising, and Nathan was painfully aware that his father's past could unravel everything. Just when Nathan thought he had a grip, Leo's eyes gleamed with an unsettling determination. The boy was not just a street kid, he held a dangerous secret. "Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the damn difference. Let's interact." Nathan's heart raced, each beat echoing with confusion and urgency. He stood frozen, the photograph still dangling in Leo's small fingers. What kind of game was this boy playing? The cafe buzzed on, a world away from the revelation threatening to engulf him. "Cost me what?" Nathan demanded, voice low but firm. Leo leaned in closer, eyes darting around. "I know things, but it ain't free. You want to know? You gotta trust me." Nathan's instinct screamed to back away. Trust? How could he trust a street kid with tattered clothes and reckless eyes? Yet something in Leo's intensity anchored him, pulling him into a current he couldn't escape. Before he could reply, a loud crash cut through the chatter of the cafe, a glass shattering on the floor. Silence blanketed the room, and all heads swiveled towards the commotion. A young man, clad in a dark hoodie, rushed in, eyes wide with panic. "They're coming," he shouted, chest heaving. The atmosphere shifted. Fear clung to the air like smoke. People glanced at each other, reactions rippling through the crowd. "Who's coming?" someone shouted, voice laced with fright. The boy's breathless words echoed, sending a shiver down Nathan's spine. "The men in black? They're looking for families." He turned and locked eyes with Leo, who stood close, almost protectively, beside Nathan. In that heartbeat, everything changed. Leo's eyes widened, the determination vanishing as confusion took its place. I gotta go," he stammered, ripping his gaze away from Nathan. "Wait," Nathan yelled, adrenaline surging through him. Why was Leo afraid of this stranger? But before he could reach, out Leo dashed toward the door, the bell jangling wildly as he slipped outside. What the hell just happened? A collective murmur spread among the cafe patrons, the tension palpable. Nathan glanced at the young man, his confusion turning to suspicion. "What did you mean, families?" The hoodie guy shook his head, glancing nervously toward the window, as shadows stretched across the street. "They're after kids, establishing control." His voice trembled, laden with dread. Nathan's throat tightened. "Control? What kind of control? Who are they?" "I don't know. I just know they take kids. I've seen it." He backed away, brow furrowed. The fear in his eyes mirrored Nathan's own panic. Everything he had done, the empire he built, was built on stability and safety. Yet here he was, facing a reality of danger. Nesting in the city he thought he knew. Leo, his supposed link to his father, was running from something unknown. Then deeper instincts kicked in. Nathan turned to the barista, eyes fierce with urgency. "Did you see where he went?" The barista shook her head, fear etched in her features. "Out that way." She pointed towards the door, her hands trembling. Nathan wasted no time. He bolted out, the street bustling with people unaware of the looming threat. "Leo," he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. But the boy was gone, vanished into the mass of bodies. Something deep inside Nathan sparked, a shift, a jolt. His father's past was winding around him like a tangled web, and he was caught in it. "Why didn't you tell me, Dad?" Nathan whispered to the universe, just as a cold wind swept through the street, carrying whispers of secrets yet unspoken. The stakes rose higher. Who was Leo really? What had Nathan's father hidden? And just what did the boy know that changed everything? Nathan stood frozen in the chaos. The buzzing cafe felt light years away. His heart thrummed in his chest as he scanned the street, searching for Leo. And then he felt it, a shift in the air. The shadows stretched longer, and a chill ran down his spine. Something wasn't right. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed down the street, the sound of metal striking concrete. The crowd surged, people shouting and stumbling back. Nathan's instincts kicked in, and he pushed toward the noise. "Leo," he shouted again, panic clawing at him, but he was met with a scene that felt like a nightmare unfolding. A van had skidded to a stop, doors flung wide open. Two men in dark vests, faces hidden by caps, jumped out. They moved fast, scanning the street like predators. Adrenaline flooded Nathan's veins. Who were these men? Fear twisted in his gut as he realized these were the men in black the hooded guy had warned about. They shouted something unintelligible, but the urgency in their voices was clear. The crowd was scattering, people backpedaling, looking for safety. Nathan tried to stay calm, but his pulse raced. He had to find Leo before they did. "Get back!" someone yelled. The cafe patrons, still lingering, were now wide-eyed in shock, frozen. Nathan felt their fear wrap around him like a heavy blanket. Then, in the chaos, he spotted Leo, huddled behind a trash can, eyes darting. Nathan's heart soared. "Leo," he called, waving his arms. "Over here." But Leo didn't move. He looked terrified, his small body trembling. The men in vests took a step forward, eyes locking on Leo with unsettling intent. Nathan's blood ran cold. Suddenly, one of the men pulled out a device, a strange, shiny object that hummed ominously. The air felt thick, electric. "We know where you are," he yelled, voice booming. "Come with us now." Nathan bolted toward Leo, his chest tightening. "No, you leave him alone," he shouted, desperation fueling every step. He reached the boy and grabbed his arm, ready to pull him to safety. But just as he turned, something in the air shifted. A thick fog rolled through the street, swirling like a living thing. Nathan squinted, trying to see through it. Then, silence. The chaos faded. Patrons and onlookers were gone. It was just him, Leo, and those men standing in the fog. Confusion wrapped around Nathan like chains. What just happened? The men looked bewildered too. The device in their hands flickered out. They glanced at one another, uncertain. Then they turned and ran, disappearing into the haze. "What the hell was that?" Nathan breathed. But before he could catch his breath, Leo pulled away, eyes wide, filled with an emotion Nathan couldn't decipher. Fear? Excitement? "We have to go now." "Go where?" Nathan asked, bewildered. A booming voice echoed from the fog. "You think you can escape the truth?" Nathan's heart dropped. He recognized that voice. It was his father's, clear as day. "Dad?" he whispered. But the fog thickened. Then, Leo's small hands gripped Nathan's wrist like a vice. "We can't stay here. Not now." Nathan felt the world tilt beneath him. The boy, was he leading him into danger? Or was this the key to understanding everything? But Leo's terrified eyes told him it was both. The gravel crunched underfoot as they took off, the fog closing in around them, swallowing the street whole. Secrets and shadows danced at the edges of Nathan's vision. Where were they running? What truths were hiding in the dark? And what did the voice of his father really mean? A world unraveling, trapped between chaos and revelation. They took off, hearts pounding, cutting through the fog that wrapped around them like it was alive. Nathan's mind raced. He clutched Leo's hand tightly. "We have to find somewhere safe," he shouted, his voice hoarse with urgency. But Leo's eyes widened even more, filled with a mix of fear and something else. Something he couldn't quite place. They ducked into an alley, aleatoric shadows dancing around them. Nathan could hardly breathe. The weight of the photo slipped into his thoughts, mingling with Leo's frantic energy. What truth was out there? And why did Leo seem so shaken? Behind them, muffled footsteps echoed off the damp walls. Nathan turned to glance back. The men in dark vests moved fast, only silhouettes in the mist. It felt like they were being hunted. "Leo, can you run? We have to move." He didn't want panic to seep into his voice, but it was hard to hide the rising dread. "Wait," Leo's words came out in a frantic gasp, and he pressed against the alley wall, trembling like a leaf. "You don't understand." His eyes darted from Nathan to the entrance of the alley, searching for a way out. "What do you mean?" Nathan asked, feeling a cold shiver creep down his spine. "What don't I understand?" Then it happened, a sudden shift in the air. For a brief moment, the fog retreated. Nathan squinted, trying to make sense of the shadowed figures. But then, something flickered. Something caught the light for just an instant. The men's device was glowing again, and suddenly, it shot a beam toward them, a harsh light cutting through the dimness. "Leo!" Nathan shouted, panic surging as he instinctively shielded the boy. He felt a jolt, like electricity coursing through his arm. But instead of pain, an intense warmth washed over him. "What is happening?" he yelled, looking wildly around. And then, the light expanded, swallowing them whole. In an instant, the world flipped. Everything shifted, colors swirling like paint on a canvas. The next second, Nathan found himself and Leo standing in a bright, softly lit room, sterile and surreal. a stark contrast to the chaos they had just escaped. It was too quiet, too unsettling. "What the hell?" Nathan muttered. Before him stood a long table lined with screens showing images, graphs, and strange symbols. Leo was staring at something on the far wall, eyes wide, mouth agape. Nathan followed his gaze. There, projected against the wall, was a giant video monitor flickering to life. He recognized the face instantly. It was his father. Nathan's breath caught in his throat as the figure on screen spoke with a calm intensity to Nathan Caldwell. "If you are seeing this, then you've stumbled into something far more dangerous than you realize." The words were chilling, sending ice coursing through Nathan. "Dad," he whispered, the familiarity of that voice only intensifying the surreal fog around him. But it wasn't just his father's image that shocked him. It was Leo's reaction. The boy stepped back, horror washing over his tiny face. "No," he gasped. "You didn't know. What are you talking about?" Nathan was losing control of his racing thoughts, confusion blurring everything. The video continued, his father's voice echoing in the room. "Those men are not what they seem, and your true lineage carries a heavy burden. I had to protect you from the truth, Nathan. They are after you. Not just the past, but your future." Nathan froze, the room spinning. "My future? What do you mean?" Leo's face was pale, eyes darting between the monitor and Nathan. "You're not who you think you are," he shouted. "Neither of us is." The space went silent, weighted with the gravity of Leo's words. A crack deep inside Nathan formed, spreading rapidly through his mind. Questions swirled, clashing against a reality he thought he knew. What was going on? Who was Leo really? Before he could say anything more, the lights began to flicker and the walls of the room shimmered. In the chaos, Nathan heard his father's voice again, a warning, a command. "Find the truth, Nathan, before it's too late." Then, abruptly, the video cut off, leaving the two of them teetering on the edge of an unimaginable revelation. All of a sudden, the lights went out, plunging them into darkness. Nathan's heart rate spiked, the silence stretching like a taut wire. What did Leo know? What truth had his father hidden? The fog of uncertainty enveloped them again, thicker than before, suffocating as the echoes of his father's words hung in the air, life-changing, shocking. Nathan felt a cold sweat break across his forehead. "Leo!" he called into the dark. "What are we supposed to do now?" But the boy's voice came back, distant and trembling. "We have to trust each other, but it's not that simple." And just like that, Nathan knew they had stepped into a nightmare, a twisted puzzle that was just beginning to unfold. Nathan felt his heart pounding, the darkness heavy around them. Leo's eyes glistened with fear, and Nathan could barely catch his breath. "What's happening? Leo!" he shouted, desperate for answers. But Leo just stood there, frozen, the weight of unspoken truths thick in the air. The silence felt suffocating. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows, twisting the sterile room around them into a maze of uncertainty. Nathan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What had he stepped into? What secrets lay hidden in the fog that had whisked them away? Without warning, the lights surged back on, and a panel slid open on the wall opposite the monitor. Nathan's eyes widened as he stepped toward it, drawn by a force beyond his control. But what emerged from the darkness of that panel was something he never expected. A woman stepped out, her presence commanding, hair slicked back, wearing a uniform that looked strangely out of time, almost otherworldly. She had a familiar face, but Nathan couldn't place it. There was a moment where everything seemed to freeze, where future and past collided. "I'm here for him," she said, voice smooth and precise, her eyes locking onto Leo. The boy's face twisted in shock. "You shouldn't have brought him here." "Who are you?" Nathan demanded, confusion morphing into anger. "What do you want with him?" The woman turned her gaze to Nathan, calculating, studying. "You need to understand, Nathan. None of this is what you think. Your entire life, it's all been manipulated." "What?" His voice cracked, the ground beneath him vanishing. "What do you mean?" It's your father. He made a choice that altered everything. He didn't just build an empire. He constructed illusions. You've been living in one of them. She explained, her words pouring out like a torrent, leaving Nathan reeling. An illusion? No, no way. My life is real. Leo was shaking, pulling away from Nathan's grip. She's right. I've seen it, Nathan. He's not who you think he is. The woman stepped closer, her demeanor softening. You're not just the son of a businessman. You're key to something far greater, a legacy tied to power beyond your understanding. Stop, Nathan shouted, waves of fury crashing through him. You can't just come in here and say all this. It doesn't make sense. But deep down, something gripped him, an unshakable feeling that maybe, just maybe, she was telling the truth. Another loud noise split the air. The door behind them slammed open, and the men in dark vests reappeared, rushing toward them, filled with purpose. Get them, one yelled, eyes blazing with fury. No, the woman cried, turning sharply to face them. Just as the men lunged forward, she raised her hand, and a bright flash enveloped the room. The light blinded Nathan, exploding around him like fire. When it faded, Nathan felt weightless. The room vanished, replaced by a vast landscape, nothingness, swirling with colors, shimmering like oil on water. And then the horrifying truth sank in like ice in his veins. Do you see now? The woman's voice echoed, haunting. You are part of something much bigger than any of us. Reality began to collapse. Nathan's mind raced, pulling pieces together. Relationships shifting. Everything he thought he knew, disintegrating. What bigger thing? Who are you? But before she could answer, everything exploded again, a blinding light consuming him whole. Nathan gasped as reality snapped back into place. He found himself standing alone in a dark room again, the sound of chaos fading from the edges of his mind. Where was Leo? Where was the woman? Confusion churned, panic surged. Leo, he called out, but silence swallowed him whole. He felt a deep chill creep into his soul. What just happened? Did those men get him? Was Leo safe? The question hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Every moment Nathan had taken for granted now lay shattered around him. Just like that, everything flipped, and he was left grasping in the dark, desperate for light, desperate for truth, and buried in each thought was the piercing question echoing inside his head. What was the truth he had yet to uncover? Nathan stood there, breath heavy, confusion fogging his thoughts. The silence of the room felt suffocating, like a weight pressing down on him. He could still hear the fading echoes of the woman's voice, the warnings mixed with Leo's fearful expression. What just happened? He murmured to the empty space, his heart pounding. Then, a flicker. The monitor flickered back to life, this time showing a series of images. Fast flashes, faces he didn't recognize. Families, children, those dark men from earlier. Panic clawed at his throat. No, he whispered, shaking his head. This can't be happening. As the images scrolled, one caught his eye. A young boy, a smiling child, with dark hair and bright eyes. He blinked, feeling a lump form in his throat. He knew that boy. The resemblance was uncanny. Who was he? Nathan. A voice, sharp and clear, sliced through the haze. It was Leo, back in the room, but he looked different. Older somehow. The light reflected in his eyes, deeper. We have to go, now. What is this? Nathan shot back, desperation creeping in. He pointed at the screen. Who's that boy? Why do I know him? Leo's expression burned with urgency. You don't understand, he said, shaking his head. We're running out of time, trust me. The fear in Leo's eyes resonated deep within Nathan. He glanced back at the monitor. The boy's face splashed across his memory like a wave. What was happening? Who were they chasing? The questions spiraled, but before Nathan could respond, a sharp metal clang echoed from behind them. The heavy door burst open, streaks of light pouring in, casting menacing shadows in the small room. In walked the dark-suited men, faces obscured and eyes burning with a fierce intensity. Their hands gripped strange devices, darkly glimmering in the fluorescent light. No, they found us. Leo yanked Nathan's wrist, pulling him toward a side door, that had appeared behind the swirling images just moments before. But Nathan hesitated, stuck between instincts screaming for him to run and the confusion clouding his mind. "Wait, we can't just leave," Nathan shouted, eyes darting between Leo and the men advancing toward them. "What about the truth? What are they after?" "We can't talk about that now," Leo insisted fiercely. "You just need to trust me." Just as Nathan opened his mouth to respond, the lead man lunged forward, slamming a device onto the ground. A blinding light erupted, engulfing everything in an instant. Nathan stumbled back, blindsided. He felt the ground disappear beneath his feet, as if he was being pulled into a vortex. When the light faded, he found himself somewhere wholly different. A vast, barren landscape with cracked earth stretching endlessly under a burning sky. Confusion twisted into fear. "What? Where are we?" he mumbled, scanning the desolation. Beside him, Leo's face was pale, eyes wide with terror. "This isn't where we were supposed to go," he whispered. "They're coming, Nathan. They're going to find us." "Find us?" Nathan echoed, panic rising. "Who? What is happening?" Then at that moment, the air rippled, and Nathan's heart sank as he recognized the sound, the mechanical whir of the dark men's devices closing in on them. The figures appeared on the horizon, faster than he could comprehend, their faces sharper now, eyes locked onto him and Leo. But what shocked Nathan to the core was the sight of the boy from the monitor standing beside them, not just a memory, but flesh and blood, staring back at him with an expression so familiar. "Nathan," the boy shouted, and everything came crashing down, like brittle glass. "Nathan," Leo echoed in horror. "You can't." But the noise of the men swept over them, drowning out his words. "We'll take what's ours," they shouted, the darkness closing in. Nathan felt his world spinning out of control. The boy was standing there, and the truth he'd been searching for was finally within reach, yet everything felt like it was slipping away. "Who are you?" he yelled. Trembling, the boy took a tentative step forward, meeting Nathan's terrified gaze. "I'm your brother." In that moment, the sky shattered with sound, reality itself flickering. Nathan's legs buckled, the world around him spun into chaos. The ground shook, and he felt a wave of raw emotion crash over him. Was it possible? Could this all be real? "Everything you thought you knew is wrong," the boy cried as the darkness surged forward, black shadows reaching, desperate and hungry. Just then, nothing but silence fell. The echoes screamed for answers, leaving Nathan standing on the precipice of discovery, trembling, for he knew the journey was far from over. Nathan stood there, breath heavy, confusion fogging his thoughts. The silence of the room felt suffocating, like a weight pressing down on him. He could still hear the fading echoes of the woman's voice, the warnings mixing with Leo's fearful expression. "What just happened?" he murmured to the empty space, his heart pounding. Then a flicker. The monitor flickered back to life, this time showing a series of images. Fast flashes, faces he didn't recognize, families, children, those dark men from earlier. Panic clawed at his throat. "No," he whispered, shaking his head. "This can't be happening." As the images scrolled, one caught his eye. A young boy, a smiling child with dark hair and bright eyes. He blinked, feeling a lump form in his throat. He knew that boy. The resemblance was uncanny. Who was he? "Nathan," a voice sharp and clear, sliced through the haze. It was Leo, back in the room, but he looked different, older somehow. The light reflected in his eyes, deeper. "We have to go, now. What is this?" Nathan shot back, desperation creeping in. He pointed at the screen. "Who's that boy? Why do I know him?" Leo's expression burned with urgency. "You don't understand," he said, shaking his head. "We're running out of time. Trust me." The fear in Leo's eyes resonated deep within Nathan. He glanced back at the monitor. The boy's face splashed across his memory, like a wave. What was happening? Who were they chasing? The question spiraled. But before Nathan could respond, a sharp metal clang echoed from behind them. The heavy door burst open, streaks of light pouring in, casting menacing shadows in the small room. In walked the dark-suited men, faces obscured and eyes burning with a fierce intensity. Their hands gripped strange devices, darkly glimmering in the fluorescent light. "No, they found us." Leo yanked Nathan's wrist, pulling him toward a side door that had appeared behind the swirling images just moments before. But Nathan hesitated, stuck between instinct screaming for him to run and the confusion clouding his mind. "Wait! We can't just leave," Nathan shouted, eyes darting between Leo and the men advancing toward them. "What about the truth? What are they after?" "We can't talk about that now," Leo insisted fiercely. "You just need to trust me." Just as Nathan opened his mouth to respond, the lead man lunged forward, slamming a device onto the ground. A blinding light erupted, engulfing everything in an instant. Nathan stumbled back, blindsided. He felt the ground disappear beneath his feet, as if he was being pulled into a vortex. When the light faded, he found himself and Leo standing alone in a dark room again, the sound of chaos fading from the edges of his mind. Where was the boy? Where was the woman? Confusion churned, panic surged. "Leo," he called out, but silence swallowed him whole. He felt a deep chill creep into his soul. What just happened? Did those men get him? Was Leo safe? The question hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Every moment Nathan had taken for granted now lay shattered around him. Just like that, everything flipped, and he was left grasping in the dark, desperate for light, desperate for truth. "Leo, speak to me," he shouted, heart racing. His voice echoed, bouncing off unseen walls. "Tell me what's going on." Then a quiet rustle broke the silence. Nathan turned, and there was Leo, pale, trembling. But behind him stood another figure. The woman from before, somehow appearing again, but with a look of twisted determination. "Get away from him," Nathan shouted, stepping protectively in front of Leo. But before he could move, the woman raised her hands, a frown deepening on her face. "Nathan, listen to me. This is much larger than you think." And as Nathan tried to read her expression, the ground beneath them trembled again. It felt unstable. The darkness seemed to pulse, breathing around them. "What do you want?" Nathan shouted, desperation leaking into his voice. "What's happening?" "That boy," she started. Slowly. "He's not just your brother. He's the key to the entire operation." Instinctively, Nathan reached for Leo, feeling something snap within him. "What operation? What do you mean?" "Your family, your entire lineage is tied to something powerful, something that can awaken forces beyond comprehension. They want him, they want you, for a reason." "What reason?" Then without warning, the door swung open, revealing bright light splashing in. In the doorway stood what looked like a soldier from a different world, glimmering armor, an ornate weapon held at the ready. His eyes were cold, reflecting everything Nathan feared. "Time's up," the soldier said, looking straight at Leo. "You're coming with me." A surge of panic shot through Nathan. "No, Leo." He lunged forward, but faster than he could react, the soldier flung out a hand. A blue light shot from his palm, striking Leo. "No!" Nathan shouted, as Leo jerked violently, his face twisting in pain. But then something shocking happened. Instead of collapsing, Leo straightened up. The glow enveloped him completely, and Nathan felt a wave of cold wash over him. In that second, Leo's face shifted, features morphing, until he bore a striking likeness to the soldier standing in the doorway. "Nathan, it's time for you to see the truth." Leo's voice turned deep, powerful, a voice that echoed with authority. Nathan staggered back, eyes wide. "What, Leo, what's happening?" But Leo was gone. Standing before him was someone else, someone commanding and fierce. The world spun. Everything he knew shattered. "Look closely, Nathan. The truth is right in front of you, as the reality of it all crashed down." Nathan gasped. This was no ordinary fight for survival. This was a war of legacies, identities rewritten. And he stood at the center of it all, stripped bare and vulnerable, as a truth loomed that promised to rip apart everything he thought he understood. What were they fighting for? And against whom? Nathan felt his heart race. The truth was about to consume him whole. Nathan stood there, breath heavy, confusion fogging his thoughts. The silence of the room felt suffocating, like a weight pressing down on him. He could still hear the fading echoes of the woman's voice, the warnings mixing with Leo's fearful expression. What just happened? He murmured to the empty space, his heart pounding. Then, a flicker, the monitor flickered back to life. This time showing a series of images, fast flashes, faces he didn't recognize. Families, children, those dark men from earlier. Panic clawed at his throat. "No," he whispered, shaking his head. "This can't be happening." As the images scrolled, one caught his eye. A young boy, a smiling child with dark hair and bright eyes. He blinked, feeling a lump form in his throat. He knew that boy. The resemblance was uncanny. Who was he? Nathan. A voice, sharp and clear, sliced through the haze. It was Leo, back in the room, but he looked different. Older, somehow. The light reflected in his eyes, deeper. "We have to go, now." "What is this?" Nathan shot back, desperation creeping in. He pointed at the screen. "Who's that boy? Why do I know him?" Leo's expression burned with urgency. "You don't understand," he said, shaking his head. "We're running out of time. Trust me." The fear in Leo's eyes resonated deep within Nathan. He glanced back at the monitor. The boy's face splashed across his memory like a wave. What was happening? Who were they chasing? The questions spiraled. But before Nathan could respond, a sharp metal clang echoed from behind them. The heavy door burst open, streaks of light pouring in, casting menacing shadows in the small room. In walked the dark-suited men, faces obscured and eyes burning with a fierce intensity. Their hands gripped strange devices, darkly glimmering in the fluorescent light. "No, they found us." Leo yanked Nathan's wrist, pulling him toward a side door that had appeared behind the swirling images just moments before. But Nathan hesitated, stuck between instincts screaming for him to run, and the confusion clouding his mind. "Wait, we can't just leave," Nathan shouted, eyes darting between Leo and the men advancing toward them. "What about the truth? What are they after?" "We can't talk about that now," Leo insisted fiercely. "You just need to trust me." Just as Nathan opened his mouth to respond, the lead man lunged forward, slamming a device onto the ground. A blinding light erupted, engulfing everything in an instant. Nathan stumbled back, blindsided. He felt the ground disappear beneath his feet, as if he was being pulled into a vortex. When the light faded, he found himself and Leo standing alone in a dark room again, the sound of chaos fading from the edges of his mind. Where was the boy? Where was the woman? Confusion churned, panic surged. "Leo," he called out, but silence swallowed him whole. He felt a deep chill creep into his soul. What just happened? Did those men get him? Was Leo safe? The question hung in the air, heavy and sharp. Every moment Nathan had taken for granted now lay shattered around him. Just like that, everything flipped, and he was left grasping in the dark, desperate for light, desperate for truth. "Leo, speak to me," he shouted, heart racing. His voice echoed, bouncing off unseen walls. "Tell me what's going on." Then, a quiet rustle broke the silence. Nathan turned, and there was Leo, pale, trembling. But behind him stood another figure, the woman from before, somehow appearing again, but with a look of twisted determination. "Get away from him," Nathan shouted, stepping protectively in front of Leo. But before he could move, the woman raised her hands, a frown deepening on her face. "Nathan, listen to me. This is much larger than you think." And as Nathan tried to read her expression, the ground beneath them trembled again. It felt unstable. The darkness seemed to pulse, breathing around them. "What do you want?" Nathan shouted, desperation leaking into his voice. "What's happening?" "That boy," she started slowly. "He's not just your brother. He's the key to the entire operation." Instinctively, Nathan reached for Leo, feeling something snap within him. "What operation? What do you mean?" "Your family, Your entire lineage is tied to something powerful, something that can awaken forces beyond comprehension. They want him. They want you, for a reason. What reason? Then, without warning, the door swung open, revealing bright light splashing in. In the doorway stood what looked like a soldier from a different world, glimmering armor, an ornate weapon held at the ready. His eyes were cold, reflecting everything Nathan feared. "Time's up," the soldier said, looking straight at Leo. "You're coming with me." A surge of panic shot through Nathan. "No, Leo." He lunged forward. But faster than he could react, the soldier flung out a hand. A blue light shot from his palm, striking Leo. "No," Nathan shouted, as Leo jerked violently, his face twisting in pain. But then something shocking happened. Instead of collapsing, Leo straightened up. The glow enveloped him completely, and Nathan felt a wave of cold wash over him. In that second, Leo's face shifted, features morphing until he bore a striking likeness to the soldier standing in the doorway. "Nathan, it's time for you to see the truth." In that moment, the sky shattered with sound, reality itself flickering. Nathan staggered back, eyes wide. The boy was standing there, and the truth he'd been searching for was finally within reach, yet everything felt like it was slipping away. "Who are you?" he yelled, trembling. The boy took a tentative step forward, meeting Nathan's terrified gaze. "I'm your brother." Then the soldier charged forward, voice booming with power. "He has awakened. The legacy returns." In a blink, the room exploded into chaos. Walls trembled, lights flickered. The dark men surrounded them, eyes filled with a relentless hunger. "Leave him," Nathan yelled, stepping between them and Leo, heart in his throat. But Leo, his brother, grinned, a smirk Nathan had never seen before. "Stop," Leo shouted, and the chaos halted. The dark men paused, uncertainty darting through their ranks. "Nathan, you don't realize what you're a part of," Leo continued, voice rising above the noise. "You've always been a pawn in someone else's game, but now choices are mine to make." "Choices?" Nathan choked out, fear squeezing his chest. "What are you saying?" And then it happened. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from Leo. The air thickened, crackling with power and intent. Nathan felt a tidal wave of force flash past him, throwing the soldiers against the walls. The dark men were wrong-footed, but Leo stood calm and strong. "Leo, no," Nathan yelled, horror washing over him. "You're not yourself." But Leo just laughed, the sound echoing through the chaos. "You don't know me, not yet." In that instant, the facade cracked. The truth twisted into something unspeakable. The room shifted, and Nathan understood. Leo, or whatever was inside him, was not looking to escape, but to take control. As the dust settled, a truth emerged that spun Nathan's world upside down. He wasn't fighting for Leo anymore. He was fighting against him. "What have you done?" Nathan whispered, heart racing, the fear creeping in as something cold and dark snaked through the air. But before he could comprehend it fully, Leo's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Welcome to the real game, Nathan." And in that moment, reality vanished again, and Nathan was left standing alone in an echoing void, faced with shadows of betrayal and secrets that threatened to consume him whole. Nathan felt the weight of betrayal press against his chest as reality flickered and twisted around him. Leo, no, not just Leo, whoever this dark figure was, had pulled him into a web of secrets he couldn't comprehend. "What's happening?" Nathan gasped, the air thick with confusion and dread. The shadows danced around him, and he could sense the dark men closing in. But his attention was locked on the new incarnation of Leo, this menacing version, eyes glimmering with an unsettling power. What was left of his brother? Was this a transformation, or a reveal of something deeper, darker? "Everything you thought you knew," the soldier sneered, his voice slicing through the air like glass. "That's just the beginning, Nathan. Welcome to the truth." Everything spun, the walls of his life crumbling around him. What truth? he demanded, desperation flooding his veins. What did they want with you? A low laugh escaped from Leo. They had once shared joys and fears in their childhood. Now, that bond ripped apart. You think you're here to save me? You're mistaken. I'm freeing us both. Nathan shook his head, disbelief knotting tighter in his gut. No, you're not free. You're... Shut up, Leo's voice boomed. Echoing off the cold walls, Nathan recoiled, fear flashing in his eyes. You're just a pawn in a game you don't understand. But it's bigger than family. It always was. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Suddenly, time slowed. Nathan's heart raced as he recalled the images from the monitor. The boy. Faces, children, it all connected. The world spun dizzyingly around him, confusion mixing with understanding. And then, the impossible happened. Leo, the supposed brother, wavered for a moment. The glow around him flickered, revealing snippets of his true self. Nathan, I'm not who you think I am, he whispered, suddenly fragile. I'm not just your brother. I'm a decoy. They want you because you're the key. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. Key? For what? His mind reeled, piecing together the fragments like a surreal puzzle. What are you saying? But suddenly the walls shimmered, and the soldier lunged forward, eyes fierce. Enough of this nonsense. He aimed his weapon at Leo, a surge of energy crackling between them. Stop, Nathan shouted, lunging to shield Leo. But he felt weak. The truth, Nancy's weight, crushed down upon him. Don't hurt him. Don't protect him, Nathan, the soldier growled, voice shaking with authority. He's been leading you right into their hands. Before Nathan could register the danger, Leo screamed. No, you can't shoot me. I'm your... But the soldier fired, a piercing beam hitting Leo square in the chest. The blast sent him sprawling back, disintegrating into a whirlwind of blue luminescence, scattering sparkles into the air. Leo, Nathan yelled, terror clawing at his insides, but as he rushed toward the fading light, the figure before him exploded into fragments. Then silence, heavy and profound. Nathan stood alone, heart pounding, the room vibrating with the echoes of what just happened. The dark men, confused but still lurking, hesitated. Through the haze, Nathan felt the collapse of everything he held. Ear, and then a voice, clear as day, cut through the chaos. Nathan, it's time to wake up. As he turned, the fog faded around him. A different room emerged, sterile, clean, yet chilling. A large screen flashed images, and in that moment it struck him. The boy, the soldier, Leo, it was all interconnected. Behind him, the soldier was gone. Who are you? He breathed, looking at the screen. The news logos flashed, a headline glaring. Caldwell family scandal unveiled. Tension built like a pressure cooker. This isn't right, Nathan murmured, heart racing. The screen changed, revealing faces of people he thought he knew. Your life is built upon lies, Nathan, a new figure said. An older man with sharp features, eyes mirroring his own. You need to understand who you truly are and what you're capable of. The ground lurched under him. What? Who are you? Panic flooded his senses. The walls, now alive with revelation, twisted together. Your father's legacy is much darker than you imagine. You've been living a lie. The key is you, Nathan. You need to free the truth. Nathan's world shattered at that moment. Everything collapsed. Fear and confusion wrapped around him like chains. No, I can't be, he whispered. But the truth ignited inside him like fire. And as the realization hit, a path formed before him, bursting with uncertain connection. If he followed it, there'd be no going back. Find the others, the voice urged softly now, before they find you. Nathan stood at the crossroads of his life, a whirlwind of choices swirling around him. Who was he really? And how deep did the rabbit hole go? Desperation twisted through him with urgency. What did he have to lose? yet everything to gain. And with that thought he stepped forward, ready to uncover the truth, whatever it might be. Nathan stood frozen in the glowing silence, caught between the remnants of what he thought was reality and the fractured truths swirling around him. A weight pressed against his chest. Leo was more than a brother. He was a weapon in a war he never signed up for. "What have I done?" Nathan breathed, the words barely escaping his lips, thick with dread. The room vibrated with the echoes of shattered illusions. The image of his brother flickered in and out, the soldier's essence merged with a dark power uncontained. "I was trying to save you," Nathan whispered, voice trembling. But now, Leo. No, the thing that stood where Leo did, smirked, a cruel twist of lips. "You didn't realize you were being used? This world is nothing but pieces on a chessboard. But the game? Oh, Nathan, it just got interesting." In that moment, Nathan felt a rush flood through him, a desire to dismantle this false narrative, to reclaim the truth. "No, I need to know who I really am," he shouted, agony and determination colliding like thunder in his chest. And then, in a blinding flash, the reality around him shifted. The sterile room transformed, curtains falling to reveal the afternoon sun pouring through gigantic windows. He stood in a vibrant park, green grass cradling families laughing, children playing uninhibitedly. Yet the joy felt hollow, amidst the chaos unfolding in his heart. "Familiar, isn't it?" The voice echoed around him, and Nathan recoiled, realizing the soldier was once again manifesting. "But you'll never truly belong. It's time for you to choose your path." Everything in Nathan screamed to lash out, to demand answers. But instead, he took a deep breath, grounding himself amidst the turmoil. "I choose to protect those I love," he declared, voice steadying, heart igniting. "I will no longer be a pawn in this game." The sky above swirled, the park fading into darkness. The shadows of the dark men loomed ominously, but Nathan felt strength surge within him. "You think you can manipulate me? I am not your tool." The soldier faltered, and in that hesitation, Nathan felt the tether to Leo tug urgently. "Leo, come back," he called, desperation rising like a tide. Suddenly, the darkness flickered. Light exploded from the shadows, power radiating, breaking chains of deception. Leo's form flickered desperately, trying to break free from the dark grip. "Nathan, I'm here!" The plea tangled with raw fear, igniting something deep within Nathan. With an explosion of determination, Nathan reached for him. "Fight it! You are more than this!" In the void, the surge of energy enveloped them both, light intertwined with shadows, illuminating worlds of forgotten truths. And then, in a twist of fate, Leo exploded with brilliance, a radiant warrior bursting forth, breaking free from the hold of past darkness. "I'm so sorry," Leo's voice rang clear. The shadows shrieked, fading as warmth spread around them. And just like that, he stood resolute, eyes clear and full of fire. "A brother again. Together?" Nathan asked, a lump swelling in his throat. "Together," Leo affirmed with newfound strength. They faced the darkness as equals, united in purpose. Cupping their hands together, they created a barrier. The dark men faltered, their aggression stripped away in the face of unwavering love. As the light broke over them, Nathan felt the weight of generations lift. It was the truth that ignited their power. The path ahead glimmered with hope. No more being manipulated, no more fears, just two brothers reclaiming their legacy. But the battle wasn't over. Nathan looked over his shoulder as the shadows of the dark men writhed in rage, anger flickering like a flame ready to ignite. He knew they would fight to remain front and center in this twisted game. "Let's end this," Leo said, a fierce light in his eyes. And Nathan nodded, heart racing as they faced the shadows, solidly armed with knowledge, encouragement, and unwavering resolve. As they surged forward, hearts intertwined with the bond of brotherhood, Nathan breathed deeply, welcoming the flood of emotion. This is just the beginning. And as they moved toward their destiny, the world shifted again, opening fragments of hope amidst the shadows. You have to subscribe right now. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this ending. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. This is the moment to show your support.